Saturdays are my favorite days because we bring you another amazing edition of Hall of Fame right here on Citi TV. My name is AJ Sapon. Always a pleasure to be on your TV screens, bringing you the show that gets up close and candid with your favorite personalities. It's a show that allows them to let loose, show a different side of themselves, tell their story with their own or from their own mouths, and put to rest all rumors or whatever it is that may be circulating around them, and show a different side of them, and of course have a few laughs while at it. This show is right here, or coming to you live from the studios of Citi TV here in Adabraka. Special thanks to First Choice for my hair and Evoda for my jewelry this evening. Now, without further ado, I am going to go on a quick break. When I come back, I am going to be getting straight into the conversation with a very amazing personality. Her tenacity, her amazing voice, and as well her zeal is something that has made her shine very well in the music industry, specifically in the gospel music industry. When I come, I'll be having a conversation with the one and only Celestine Donkor. You're tuned into Hall of Fame right here on Citi TV. My name is AJ Sapon. Now, my personality, or the personality on the show today, is someone who I truly love. Whenever she goes into worship mode, she takes the entire church along with her. She's someone that listening to her songs make you feel a bit closer to God, in my personal opinion. She's an amazing singer, a successful career woman, and someone who'll be telling us her story right here on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Celestine Donkor. Hi, Celestine.
Hi, AJ.
I hope I was able to do justice.
I know, right?
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Same. It's a joy to be here.
You're someone who has truly been outstanding in the gospel music industry, if I may say so myself. But I would like to start off from the beginning. When did you know you could sing? Did you find your voice in church? Did you stumble upon it? Or is this something that you always knew, I have a great voice and someday I will go into music?
My mom actually made me realize I could sing. Growing up, we used to watch together on Saturdays. In a very big pan, and then we all gather around and we are washing, and then we'll be singing while I was washing. Yes. So she made comments anytime I sing. She's like, she'll put me on church program to sing and all that. So it happened that this faithful day, she finally wrote my name at church to sing, and that was my very first stage experience in singing. Yes. So in fact, that day, it was so new to me that when I got on the stage, I forgot the song.
Wow.
I forgot everything. I stood there. You know when you're a kid, like 9 years, and you're on stage and you are not, it's not pulling for you. People go like, oh, keep clapping, she'll sing there. These people clapped and clapped, Charlie. I never sang.
Wow.
So that was my first experience, and that was how, from there, she gave me another opportunity, empowered me at home, and then I did it the second time, and then that is how far the Lord has brought us.
Absolutely. So describe your growing up, describe your childhood. How was it like? Which part of Ghana did you grow up in?
Okay, I grew up in Accra. I actually birthed in Accra.
Okay.
I grew up in Accra, schooled in Accra, everything Accra, specifically around the Beka Flat Top area. And then we lived a little bit in Alaji, Tabora area. Yes, that was how I grew up. And I'm a seventh born of a family of 15.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. A very huge family. And everybody has something musically to do, you know.
Really?
Yes. Each one of us is either a studio engineer, is either an instrumentalist.
So the entire family is a family of musicians.
Yeah,
basically.
so we can get like a full set in my family, like a bassist, a lead guitarist, a keyboardist, backers, a full set.
Was it intentional?
No, I think it's just the grace of God and how amazing God can gift. You know, it's a blessing. It's not something we deliberately plan. Everybody has some interest in music.
Very interesting. Now, growing up, describe school life and what kind of things you were up to in school. Did you were you also singing in school?
Yes. So, like from my mom's story, I was like 9. So growing up from there till at the first cycle education, that was when I really had the opportunity to grow the gift. I was singing at schools, singing at birthday parties, singing at small gatherings, and singing. My life has actually been like school, church, small programs here and there, yeah. So those opportunities, I mean, gave me the opportunity to actually sharpen the gift I have. Because the more you do, the more you become perfect at it. So when I got to secondary school, I was also singing, like in the SU, and when the school has programs, I sing. I remember one of our staff, school staff passed on, and I sang at the funeral. That was also a big gathering, yeah. So that was how basically it was, singing church, small programs, and school, yeah.
At what point in time did you decide that I will make a career out of singing?
I never decided that. It just happened that when I was in secondary school, I met my school mother. I was in a boarding house, but they were postgraduates.
Okay.
So they were allowed to go outside the school peripheries. But, you know, when we are Form 1 to Form 3, you are restricted. But there was one day that she really wanted to take me out of the school to go and sing in her church. And we asked permission. We were not given the eggs yet because I had exhausted my limit. And so she planned with me to run, to like jump the wall of the school to go and sing. And we did. It was an all night, I remember very well. And then we left there on Friday and went to the church to sing. That was the church where I met Asuma Nelson, the boxer. It was a very huge church, very, very big church around SCC Mandela area, International Solid Foundation. And the pastor is Reverend Augustine Baidu. So that was where we went to sing for the first time. I was still in my house dress.
Wow.
Yes, and I sang. So after I sang, then later on, Asuma Nelson approached me and was like, "Who are your parents?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm in the secondary school. The school is at Bodjase." Yes, so blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, "I would like to sponsor your education."
Wow.
So he also happened to sponsor.
Just by singing?
Yes.
He was touched. Really?
And jumping the wall that night. For a good cause. So that was how that aspect of singing in churches, like being invited from one church to the other, also began from there. Because the moment I sing at one church, like somebody there also takes me to another, and so on and on. And so I met a lady in that church, and she became my friend, and she was recording her songs. And then she asked me to accompany her to the studio. I wasn't even going to sing, just to hold her bag, get her water, and those kind of stuffs. So I went to the studio with her, and I was sitting at the reception while she was busy in the studio recording. And then I was just singing along. And then the sound engineer, Fred Chamensa of Fredima Studios, those time in Circle. Yes, he was not knowing, he was really paying attention to what I was singing. And because I realized that when I was singing, once in a while he would peep at me. And then after the whole session, he was like, "Would I want to record?" And I'm like, it's new to me. I was so young then, like 17 or 18, yes, in year 2. And then I was like, yes, why not? It will be exciting, it will be interesting. So he said, okay, find time and come around. So one thing led to the other, and then I came out with my first album. So it was like everything happened so fast that it wasn't really important to me. It was like one of those things we did. I was really, really a brilliant student in school, and all my teachers were hoping that I become like a business. I do business, I do science, I become a doctor, because I was a straight A student. So it was one of those things. I just released the album and brushed it aside. And then one day, a certain guy met me in church. Apparently at the launch of that album, he bought the CD. And then he met me in church one day, and the way he was, excited and approaching me with some emotions involved. And he was like, "If you are not taking your music seriously, take it seriously." And I'm like, "What happened?" He said he got frustrated and wanted to commit suicide. So he mixed some concoction to take. And then when he was ready to drink, he just felt like, let me just play some song before I go. And then apparently my CD was already in his player. So when he played, there was this song I wrote that says that, "Enka wanu edrum enya ho bone. Onyame a obo wo ho adwempa." So when this guy played, this was the part of the song that it actually fell on. And then it was, you know, when God wants to use something to minister to you, it was like he was in the room alone, but God he had an encounter. And he didn't know what happened. But the next one, according to him, the whole room was a mess, like turned upside down. He fell under the anointing alone in the room. Wow. Yes, and he woke up renewed in his thinking and decided not to leave. So he has been looking for me to share this testimony with me, that this is what the Lord has done through the song. And the words he spoke that day that really, really entered my spirit was that if you are not taking your music seriously, take it seriously. So that was my turning point. Now I began to deliberately write and look for studio to record, you know, so there was a revival in the music. And then that was the point that I said, this is what God wants me to do, so let me do this.
So now describe your journey into the Ghanaian music scene, or music industry, or specifically in the gospel music industry. Because before then, it had been something that you hadn't taken as a career path. It's been, I know how to do it, so I'm just doing it.
Yeah.
So that moment where you had the encounter. So describe now entering the Ghanaian music or gospel music industry as an artist looking to touch lives and share the gospel through your music.
Well, it hasn't been an easy road at all. From the story I narrated, where do you even begin from?
Yeah.
And how do you even enter the market? Who would give you that hand to, you know, help you up? And who would give you the opportunity? So I was hanging around the studio a lot in those days. I just hung around at my free times. And then I know musicians come around a lot. Sometimes when they are recording, I hear the song. I actually propose that let me do a line.
In there?
Yeah, let me do a line. I can do this in a very nice way. Let me do it. So not for money or anything. It's just for the love of what I'm doing. So it happened with Reverend Prince Nyako. He came to the studio, that's Nasi studio. Those times he was at GCV Towers. And then he was recording a song. I said, no, this song will sound very nice in heaven. So let me do a translation for you. It wasn't part of their plan. So, you know, they will be like, who is she?
Yeah.
Who is her? And all that. So they gave me the chance finally, and I nailed it. And that song came out and it was like a boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, people recognize that, who is this lady? Who is this lady? Who sings this? Because it was very rare in those days to hear somebody singing in Ewe. So I started getting those engagements. Come and back me. I want to feature you. Backing. So I was at a point, I was actually tagged as the backing and featuring artist.
Really?
I was more known as a supporting artist
than as a standalone.
And I did a lot of work in the background. I worked with a lot of musicians: Philippa Beffy, Joe Bless, Josh Lai, Kofi Sarpong, a lot of musicians, a lot. Ampon C, Isaac, a lot of them. So when would I actually establish my own brand, the Celestine Donkor brand? It was a concern on those who loved my voice. And when they meet me, they're like,
why you say your own kind of thing? Did it bother you at that point that you were being tagged as the one that helps others instead of the one that does her own?
Nah, it wasn't bothering me at all. I was enjoying it. And interestingly, it pays.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know that thing, you are called to do this in one time.
They want you.
They settle you and you are done. So it pays. It's like it doesn't take from you. So I was enjoying it. I was very comfortable in it. And I hoped that one day, and I knew in my spirit that one day it would change. But I knew that time was also important for my career because it gave me the opportunity to learn a lot. To learn a lot because the experiences I've gathered, no one can take from me. Yes, so later on, I got married. My husband is a businessman. He had no idea what music is all about. But he, you know, when men, when their wives, they want their wife to be, you know, my husband was quite concerned that, when will my wife stop doing this backing,
and then start becoming the brand? Yeah.
So one day he sat me down, was like, look, I don't know anything about music, but I think we can do this. Let's sit down and make you a brand. So I agreed. It wasn't easy because we were so green. And because we didn't know much, we lost in the beginning. We put money where we were not supposed to put. And then we learned hard way along the line in the process. But today we look back and we say it is good. Because we are not only connected locally, but globally. We started as, we were not pros, but my husband and I together has made the Celestine Donkor brand, a brand that, I mean, we are proud of. Yeah, and so that is how.
Tell me some of the biggest challenges you had as an upcoming artist. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in the music industry?
The biggest challenge, honestly, is what we get back from what we invest. The percentage was, the gap was so wide and it was so low because at a point, my husband, even who was interested in investing, got frustrated because we put chunk of money in there, but the return is so low and it comes in bits and pieces. And there was a time that we're like, no, when will we begin to earn from what we are doing? Because when you go to the studio to record, pay a lot of money. When you want to shoot your video, it's a lot of money. And people want to invite you for programs, but when they call you, they will say, oh, it's the work of God.
Exactly.
You cannot charge for the work of God. And then, so that was the challenge. For a long time, people were in that perception that a gospel artist must not be paid, must not negotiate. You cannot refer me to your manager. Are you a business? Are you a product? And all that. So it was really a challenge. And personally, because I was also naive, I felt like it didn't feel right to even charge a church for a program. But we have grown, we have matured, and we have realized that every gift everybody has come from God. But once resources are in and time has gone into it, then it becomes a profession because it takes your time, it takes your resource, and this is what we do. So at the end of the day, we must earn from what we do. So we put our feet on the ground, stood on our grounds, put structures in place that nobody will go through, contact me directly for a program. They have to go through a management. We have to have an agreement. Signatures must come to play before I minister. So we have grown from there.
I like that. I like what you said a lot because every gift comes from God, but you should be able to benefit from the gift that the Lord has given you. I really do. We should all note that down. But I'm having an amazing conversation with the one and only Celestine Donkor right here on Hall of Fame. When we come back, even more goodness with her, getting to know some of the different parts of the industry and her views on it, and as well the way forward for her, the brand, and a lot more that she has in store for you. There's an event happening very soon that you must also know about. All this and more on Hall of Fame. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned into Hall of Fame right here on Citi TV. My guest today is Celestine Donkor. We're having an amazing conversation right here on the show. And before we went on break, we're talking about how there's a mindset that the gospel is free, so gospel artists shouldn't be charging, and what some people feel are maybe enormous charges coming from gospel artists. Coming back to you, a lot of people view, or I want to know your opinion on this particular topic, because you, as you rightly said, you had to put in place structures to be able to get people to respect the fact that your talent is from God, but yes, everyone has to pay or get beneficial returns from their talent.
Exactly.
People view that the gospel is free, so therefore everything else should be free. Not forgetting the fact that if you do an event, you're hiring a venue, you're hiring technical things, you are hiring people to work with, and at the end of the day, you need to get your returns back. How do you think we can kill this particular mindset?
I really think that there should be some sort of awareness and education. And musicians must begin to talk about this thing.
Yeah.
It has been a border or a burden for a long time. When we discuss in the circles of musicians, they really talk about this, and you can see that it's a concern.
Yeah.
So musicians must really talk about it and let people understand. I feel that a lot of people, when I say people, mostly the church and pastors are those gospel musicians engage with. And so pastors and the churches that invite us, I feel they don't know what goes into even something simple as inviting a singer to minister in your church. They don't know what goes into it. All they know is they are calling you to come. They have no idea that after that call, there is a preparation on the part of the artist. Preparation in terms of rehearsals. Yeah. I rehearse with a 12-member band.
Wow.
Instrumentalists and singers. We need to rehearse and prepare for that program. And when we meet for rehearsals, you need to give each of these 12 people transportation. The studio we are rehearsing, we pay per hour.
Wow.
Yes, to rehearse. At least 50 cedis per hour for rehearsals. And then you have to give them lunch when they come for rehearsals. That is just preparation to go and minister after the call. And then to make sure that the program you're inviting me to, I add some value to it, I need to really consider my appearance. What am I wearing? How am I, presenting myself for the event? And then getting these 12 people to the location, transportation and fuel.
Wow.
Yes. And so this is just making a call that, Celestine, I need you for a program. These are the preparations that goes into it. None of these steps doesn't take money. All these things goes into it. So at the end of the day, if I start spending before I attend your program, and I come and we didn't agree on anything, and then you give me 100 cedis. It didn't even pay for the rehearsal studio. Not talk of the fuel, not talk of the lunch I give to the people. So at the end of the day, I am drawing more than what I get. So this sensitization and education is what we must talk about so that people understand that, look, a lot goes into it. And also when ticketing a gospel event, immediately we mention that all eyebrows go wild, like how can you take it a worship program? But it is a worship program. Sometimes we host these programs even in churches, and those church halls are not for free.
Wow.
Yes, and they are not for free. Strictly charging and strict rules. You have to take your own sound, sometimes take chairs to the halls. I'm telling you, the light, the stage, like everything costs so much money. It's really capital intensive. To get stage alone, a very good stage setup, can cost you like 25,000 to be like something normal. If you want to go like more extravagant, you can. But on the low, 25,000. Not talk of, a whole lot of things goes into it. So we need to really talk about it so that people understand that whatever you are giving to the artist goes back to sustain the music, to sustain the work, to ensure that Celestine Donkor still lives on. It's not to sell the gospel to you. Nobody can buy the gospel. For instance, when you buy a ticket to attend an event, that 20 cedis or 50 cedis is not to pay for the anointing. It's to support what I'm doing so that I can keep doing it. Okay. So if we don't get this understanding, musicians will retire broke and they will still come back begging the public to have surgeries when we hear, we go like, oh,
this is so sad,
you know. But these are the things that leads to that, and I don't want to become a victim of those circumstances.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Now, still on the church. In recent times, you've seen an increase in the prosperity gospel, where a lot of emphasis is on giving rather than the gospel. In many people's opinion, buying blessings, quote unquote, or generously donating in the name of getting a particular blessing or so. What are your personal views as someone who's also in the church or in who preaches the gospel through music? Your views on the prosperity emphasis on churches these days?
Prosperity at a point in Africa or in Ghana was important because at a point Christianity, the mediocrity in Christianity and the low level of thinking and primitive thinking about Christianity was so much that there was a need for the prosperity message. The mindset that if I am poor, I walk and my feet are dirty and my clothes are torn on me, then I'm living a holy life. I'm struggling, so I'll make it to heaven. It needed to change. And so there was a need for that prosperity message. But now we have overdone it to a different level. Overdo and overdone. And it has become like that is the focus. But the focus of the gospel of Christ is very simple. Christ died for us. Christ has died for our sins. And if we believe in him, we would have eternal life. This is the message. Now we have turned everything upside down and we are actually projecting prosperity as blessings. We are projecting big houses as blessings. And so the young guy out there who doesn't have a car, who doesn't have a big house, but is faithfully living a life for God, begins to feel like, if car is a blessing, then I'm not blessed. If a house is a blessing, then I'm not blessed. Then there is something I must get. So they will join Sakawa, get the car, and come and thank God that I am blessed. You know, so we've turned the whole thing upside down. People must understand that life is a process. Look, the glory Jesus came to, we saw. And now we say that Jesus is seated at the right-hand side of Christ. Before we heard that, we saw the cross. We saw his blood. We saw that he went through a process of sacrifice. He had to carry a cross. He has to go through things and then later on be glorified. But in our world today, we don't see process. All of a sudden, we see glory.
Yeah.
So everybody's looking for a shortcut. Companies are opened. We don't trace the root. We all of a sudden, boom, this big company is giving this money and everybody rushed there. Which process? In America, every success is traceable. Yeah. When people cannot trace your success, the source of success, it becomes a question. Yeah. And they can even invite you and question you. Yeah. You know, so the youth must see this process that, hey, before I became Celestine Donkor, there was a struggle. Yeah. I started somewhere. It didn't just, appear, but we hide these processes. We project the glory, the cars, the house, and everything looks like Christ is all about, prosperity. No, so for me, I do not believe in making prosperity message the center of the church. It has to be the gospel. And the gospel says that both the good and the bad works together for good. I would like anybody listening to me right now to understand that whatever odd thing they may be going through is part of their success story. Rather than making them feel like they are going through that because of a curse, or they are going through that because they are not living a righteous life. No. Every mistake you are committing, every sin you do, every fall you fall is part part of your life package to take you somewhere. So that at the end of the day, when you turn back and you need to talk to somebody, you show them the process. Tell them you fell, you had scratches, you bled at a point, but you got up, you healed your scars, and you are showing the sources of your perseverance, and you are showing the results of your faith of not giving up. This is what we must preach. This is what we must tell the people. There was a story in the Bible that talks about Daniel. I believe it's a popular one. You know, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were in the fire for doing what? For not bowing to the God of the world. And then God was watching these children of his who actually stood before people and said, we are not going to bow to the God of the world. And God was watching. And then they took them. They were going to put them in the fire. And those who were even going to put them in the fire, God burnt.
The ferocity of the flames, yeah.
And these guys who got into the... God could have delivered them before they entered the fire, but he watched them to enter.
He wanted the world to see that truly he's God and can do a difference. Yeah.
Thank you. So that is the point I'm making. If you're a Christian and you are going through a life of fire, challenge. God is watching. He is with you. It is important for you to go through that because he wants you to go through that. But the point and that part of our faith that we must hold on to is that we are not going to die in the fire. We should know that we are not going to die. These are the messages that we must preach so that it doesn't feel odd when I don't have money to pay my fees. It doesn't feel odd when I'm growing up and I'm not getting married. Marriage is not the end of the world. It doesn't mean anything. But we project this and make it look like that one. Rather, when you are married, I'm blessed. When you have a car, I'm blessed. But how did you get the car? How did you build the house? How did you even get married? You know. So I think it's high time. Yes, prosperity message has come to do its bits, but we need to go back to the true gospel.
I feel inspired right now. Now, still on the church, moving to prophecies. So in recent times, prophecies have been given on events that, maybe an event happens, then you hear later on that a pastor probably prophesied about that particular event. People die and someone comes to say, I saw it happen. I told them, but they didn't say anything or that kind of thing. It seems now that prophecy is even being used for fear mongering. People are now afraid to hear it or just almost fear the thought of someone getting a particular prophecy about you because we all see doom and dread and all of that. Your views on how prophecy has gone from something that the Lord reveals to redeem rather than it becoming from that to now it becoming more of a threat or a premonition of disaster.
Hey, Asuma. The reason is that, look, when let's say, AJ, you fell down, and then I was like, oh, I saw you were going to fall. What do you think of it? What would you think?
Now, why do you not tell me that I was possibly going to fall?
But
why watch me do it?
But it will make you feel like you would have questions like, oh, so I have the power to know if somebody is coming to fall. And that is one sign of immaturity, number one. Okay. But on the immaturity to be very, very moderate in the way I want to put it. But any person that does not focus whatever they do on Christ is not of the Lord. Any Christian entity that takes all the glory, that wants to prove, because if somebody die and you come back to tell the world that I saw it, what are you trying to do? You are trying to take some glory. So if the glory is not targeted at Christ, then I don't know the source of I don't know what you want. Do you want to be our Messiah now? What do you want us to put Christ aside and now focus on you? So I'll tell whoever is watching me right now that, see, if a church or a pastor is true, they give the honor to God. They give the glory to God. There are things pastors see and it happens. And there are things they see and it doesn't happen. But who makes it happen and who doesn't make it happen is not the man, it's God. Haven't we heard pastors have accidents and die in this country with their entire families? If they could see or they could help themselves, they shouldn't have made the trips. Haven't we seen men of God dying? So anything that any man that tries to take the glory for something, it's not right. It's not right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, moving to the gospel music industry as a whole, do you think the structures that need to be put in place are in place in the gospel music industry? Is it beneficial for all in the industry?
It is not at all. I say that sometimes I even wonder if we have an industry because we don't have a structure. There's nothing reliable. Like I have 6 albums now. Somewhere else is enough for me to live.
For the rest of your
life. For the rest of my life. And even generations after me, it's enough because structures are working. Systems are in place. And then it is protecting the interest of the artist. So we do not have these structures. Our royalty system is so poor. It's so disorganized. It's like when they are there and they look at you, then they'll say, "Oh, take 1,000 Ghana." It's like it's not structured, and so that is really an issue with the industry. Aside that, I see majority 70% or 80% of gospel musicians manage their own labels. So there are no corporate record label that have signed gospel musicians on. Because if you are on a label, the
stress is not even as abound for you because they handle everything else.
Thank you. And that handle part means that they will not go through you directly to engage you. They have to go through the management. And you will not sit on TV and say, you are doing the ministry for Christ because somebody is investing money in you. And so these are some of the issues that are also adding to the problems we already have. The lack of corporate organized record label, lack of proper royalty systems, lack of these days, people, what is even going on right now is somebody can just take your work, redo it, put it on social media, and then making fame out of it.
Wow.
Yes, people are just redoing people's song, and they call it covers and mashups, but that is somebody's intellectual property, and no permissions, nothing, and there are so many issues related to that, and in court even. So there's a whole lot.
Do you think in Ghana or in the Ghanaian music industry as a whole, there's too much emphasis on secular music than gospel music?
Too much emphasis. I wouldn't call it emphasis. I would say that the world knows how to pay their own and make the secular. Let me not use the word. The secular people know how to pay secular things and make it happen.
Okay.
Yes. And the church world is exactly the opposite.
Okay.
Yes, that is what I am. Because when we say that, what was the word you used again?
Emphasis?
Emphasis. When you say emphasis, I would have confidently say emphasis is on Christianity. Because look around you. All the
so
billboards
are
churches. And the art environment should be favorable to the gospel musicians.
That's true.
Because every corner you are, there's a church. And look at the billboards. Church programs. Pastors, church billboards are actually more than
any other kind of billboard. Yes.
So if the emphasis should have favored the gospel musicians, but because of lack of understanding. So I can do like 30 or 40 gigs in a year. But a secular would do maybe 10 and have triple action, triple, of what I get. And so that is it. The secular knows how to handle secular things properly. When the corporate engage them, they pay them better. And you can be on the same bill, with the secular artists. They'll pay the secular higher than the gospel. So our just environment is just hostile to gospel musicians, anything gospel.
Is the gospel music industry in itself, the fraternity, is there a union? Are you all on the same page? Is there a friendly atmosphere for everyone, or is there hostility in there just the same way there is sometimes in the secular industry?
Honestly, for now, today, it is better than before. As I speak with you, we do have a platform that all gospel musicians I know are on. We are on the same page.
Okay.
Yes. So we are in touch every day on our WhatsApp page. They are able to organize themselves. Or I think the past 3 editions of my event, they organize and they come like 30, 40 musicians.
Wow.
Yes. And they are doing that very well. So on that level, I would say that there is some growth. But to actually speak about the real matters, like royalties, because some way, somehow, the gospel musicians themselves feel like we don't have to earn. And it's a problem. For instance, I put my flyer of my event on one of our pages, gospel musicians page. And then another gospel musician asked, why am I ticketing for a worship program? Trust me, it was a whole debate. And people started quoting scriptures and all that.
Wow.
And yes, on it. So when it comes to fighting for such a right, where are you going to begin from? When even at our level,
you feel some people feel they should.
Yeah. So at some levels, we are cooperating and we are doing things like attending events, giving ourselves solidarity and support is there. But to actually stand and fight for our rights and become one. I think I've heard that the secular guys, even those who have just one single or who are just starting, they have a quota of what they take for a program. But for the gospel, when like I'm called, I've had an incident where like my manager is contacted, my manager gives an X amount, and the event organizer is like, oh, it's too much. Then somebody will bypass me and come like, oh,
I will take half of
half of.
Wow.
Yes. So stuffs like that are in there, and I pray that we'll just grow from there. We'll just grow from there.
I hope so too. You're tuned into Hall of Fame. I'm having an amazing conversation with Celestine Donkor. When I come back, even more with her, and I want to know how she's able to combine being a wife, a career woman, and a mother right here on the show. Stay tuned. This is Hall of Fame. You tune in to Hall of Fame right here on Citi TV. My name is AJ Sapon. My guest today is none other than Celestine Donkor, amazing gospel artist. And she's someone who's quite accomplished, but I want to speak about the combining or the combination of being a wife, a mother, and as well a performing artist. How have you been able to juggle all 3 hats?
Honestly, it's no joke. It's another world on its own. I have 3 kids, and I've been married for 14 years.
Wow.
Yes, but I think that the advantage of my life is that my husband is a part of the music, on the career level, and then he's also part of the family.
Yeah.
And therefore, it is easy for him to understand when we need to stay out late, when we need to travel. He understands it. I don't know how it would have been if I'm being managed by somebody else.
Yeah.
But we've been managing. He really helps. We cook like in bulk. We store in the fridge for the whole week or sometimes 2 weeks. And so when we are busy, we just get home, heat up, and get running. And then the kids, when we are around, I was out of the country. In fact, my husband and I were out for like 3 months.
Wow.
Yes, we do have a nanny who takes care of them, and some family come around. So when we come around, we try our best to make it up to them, like be there for them and help with them. So it's not easy, but God has been good.
I'm sure. Have there ever been periods where you've had to forfeit one role for the other?
Yes, because you only have 24 hours.
That's true.
And definitely there has to be, your opportunity cost for something. You have to sacrifice something for another. So there have been cases like that. But we believe that we prioritize what must be prioritized. And we believe that is worth sacrificing what was sacrificed.
I like that. Now, are there collaborations or future collaborations that you've been looking forward to doing that you perhaps haven't done yet? Who are your top 3 favorite or hopeful collaborators?
Well, I've been eyeing Tasha Cobbs.
Nice. Okay.
And then Jacqueline Carr. They are both Americans. And then in South Africa, Lebo Segubela.
Okay.
So these 3 people, I really, really, really want to have a collabo with them, and I know that it's going to happen.
Okay, and I hope so too. I really like Lebo as well, Natasha. Is collaborating with a secular artist something you would ever consider doing?
I really honestly do not have I will not say no, and I will not say yes.
Okay.
But where I am right now and looking at the level of understanding of the world around me, it would be an expensive decision to make. So I'll take my time. But if I would, it has to be a particular kind of secular artist. We have secular.
And we have secular.
We have.
What kind of people will fit into the category of someone you could work with?
You see this gospel thing. Anything that the name of God is attached to it, there is some level of expectation, and there should be some level of agreement in the spirit. So when I stand on stage and I'm ministering to people, I am projecting Jesus. Okay. So anybody I would also work with need to have that understanding.
Okay.
And that we must project it together. Okay. So who is that secular artist who would also want to hold the Bible with me on stage?
Okay.
You get it. Yeah. So there is that's where the difference lies. So that it wouldn't just be all about commercial, but impact as well. For me, I would want to be remembered for impact, not just that I made it with a song that I featured a secular. That's very easy to do and very easy to get. But I think about how is it impacting. So basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if it's still with the music and things that are yet to happen, I know there's something we are going to be doing. Checking in a few hours. Tomorrow is when it's going to be happening. Tell me about that event.
It's actually Celestial Praise. It's on 29th of September. Celestial Praise is my brainchild annual event. I've been doing that for the past 8 years.
Okay.
So this year is going to be the 8th edition.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes, by the grace of God, we've gathered in one sitting 7,000 people. And the list we've gathered is like 4,000.
Wow.
Yes, so over the years it has been great. I've hosted international artists. I've hosted Steve Crown, Joe Praise, Mary Jane Mabunda from South Africa, Evelyn Wanjiru from Kenya, and a whole lot of artists. So this year...
Who are we having in this year?
This year we have Koda, we have Efe Grace,
okay.
We have MOG, we have my boy Inshraba Gideon, and then we have from Nigeria David G.
Yes. Nice.
Nice. So
nice.
It's a complete package, and on 29th September, 4 p.m. is going to happen at Victory Bible Church International.
Brilliant. Now, how can people be able to get tickets? Where can they go? Because a few hours to go to the event. So how can they be able to reach out and get tickets?
So you can get a ticket at Sunny FM. at Joy FM, and then you can get it at the Victory Bible Church premises. Victory Bible Church is at Awoshi Bayard on the Kaswa N1 road. Yes. So when you get there, you can get a ticket, or you can also just get it on mobile money. When you dial *714*5*7#. *714*5*7#. When you dial, it will take you to Celestial Praise. Which category of ticket do you want? And then you follow the prompts and buy the ticket. Or you can call me on 024 0719 024 0719 When you call, you'll be sorted.
Brilliant. I love the sound of that. Now, what else should we be looking forward to from Celestine over the next couple of weeks? Christmas is coming. It's just around the corner. The way the days are just running by, before you know, we wake up and it's Christmas Day.
Yes.
But what else should we be looking out for from Celestine?
Okay, so I have outside Celestial Praise, which is happening on 29th. I would be also outdooring my 6th album.
Wow.
I have already released 4 singles out of that 6th album. That's Bigger was one of them. Sorry, Agbebolo, Wiye Mame, and that one I forgot it. I've released 4 singles, so the full album will be ready at the event for sale. And at the end of the year, I have a lot of programs lined up. Some in Ghana, some outside Ghana. Okay. So that is how my year is going to end. Like,
okay. I like that. And before I let you go, I need to ask. So usually I like to feel people's opinions on how well the industry's been. Do you think there's been enough governmental support in the gospel music industry and the Ghanaian music industry in general? Or do you think there's more that can be done?
Well, I will feel that the government is supporting musicians. If I do my next event in a hall built by the state, and then I have it at a very, very, very low, price, then I will know that I'm getting some support from the government. But as it stands now, there is nothing like that. Nothing.
Well, there's a cathedral coming soon.
Well, in the books for now. It's just a drawing for now. So true. We are hoping, we are really holding on to that cathedral promise, because it would really help. It would really.
So you're
really
all
help.
for it?
Yes, if it happens, it would help.
Okay.
In a good location, though, not in that village.
Okay.
And I think that, you see, a nation is built on policies, and nation is built on, what are the rules? What is there to guide the way people will behave? Look, if we have our president speak today that everybody in Ghana should wear Ghanaian fabrics, that would be the end. That power, we have it. But it's just up to the people who have the power to use it. See, when our president, His Excellency J. Kufuor, he just wore a traditional, clothes, and it has become a trend. Yeah. Every Friday up to date.
We all wear.
So the people in the corridors of powers must use their power to help the nation. Okay. Let me end here.
Well, thank you so much, Celestine. It's brilliant having you here. We look forward to Celestial Praise.
Thank you.
Good luck with it. We'll be there to support in our numbers on the 29th of September. And thank you for being tuned in. It's been another wonderful edition of Hall of Fame right here on Citi TV. Thank you so much for being tuned in. A big thank you to my amazing production team, Paula, my director, all the technical staff, my amazing cameraman, produced by Akosia as well, and everyone else who's been tuned in. Thank you. Special thanks as well to my hair first choice for being so generous to me, and as well you've ordered for my jewelry. My name is AJ Akwako Sapon. Until I come your way next week with another edition of Hall of Fame, keep watching Citi TV.